Hey folks, so about 2 months ago I started playing a video series called Slack Plays Baldur's Gate 2, and it was originally meant to be a video series where I play Baldur's Gate 2 and I take characters in from a Slack community that I'm part of, and they create characters. I put them in the game, and then when they die, I remove them from the game, and a new character comes in. So it was kind of like an internal thing among friends, and that was never originally meant to go public. But now that I've finished it, I think it's kind of fun. I think it's kind of interesting to watch. My friends on the Slack seem to like it, so I thought, why not just make the whole playlist public? So I'm not annoying any of my subscribers by just constantly pinging them with like new videos. I put the whole thing public. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, you can go through the playlist. You can pick whichever ones you want to watch or watch the whole thing, up to you. But I'm not kind of just constantly annoying you with updates on YouTube. So what is it? I start Baldur's Gate 2 and I start a party of custom characters from the multiplayer kind of setting. And in Baldur's Gate 2, if you're not aware, there's a difference between dying, which is when your HP goes to zero. And if you're familiar with any kind of party-based RPG, you know what I'm talking about. And then perma-dying. So perma-dying, there's a number of ways it can happen in Baldur's Gate 2. That's kind of what makes the game exciting. You can get disintegrated, you can get turned into stone and like broken to pieces. You can get hit so hard that your whole body explodes. And when that happens, your character is permanently removed from the game. There's no way of getting them back. Generally, in a single player version of Baldur's Gate, you would just reload, unless you're doing a hardcore run. But in this version, what we're doing is when a character permanently dies, we get in a new character from the Slack. And the guys, some of them know Baldur's Gate 2, some of them don't. So they're kind of just throwing me whatever character they think sounds fun. And it ends up being kind of a hodgepodge of various different characters. Sometimes the party is very strong, then we lose someone key who's integral to the party, and we get some absolutely crap character, and then the party's power level dips, and then, another person dies and we get someone in. And so yeah, that's basically the idea of the series. There's two rules on death. So if your character permanently dies, then we replace you with a new character. Or if your character normally dies, so the hit points are reduced to zero, and then the main character, Zale, also dies, because in Baldur's Gate 2, when there's one player, there's one like party leader, and when that character dies, it goes to an instant game over. So if that happens in our game, I just reload to the previous save, but anyone who is dead, even normally dead at that point, gets deleted and we get a new character. The way the video series works, and you'll get this very quickly if you look through the playlist, I only record the fights. This is basically to stop me doing like a live stream of the game, which can be, I think, a bit boring. There's a lot of dialogue in Baldur's Gate 2. There's a lot of me kind of sneaking around, disarming traps, inventory management, spell management, all that kind of stuff. So I've cut all of that out, and I've just focused on what I think are the unique and difficult fights in Baldur's Gate 2, and I've only recorded those. Now, there is one issue with that, which that means that some characters do die off camera. So I'm just, wandering around, I get hit by something I'm not expecting, and because I'm trying to do a hardcore run, I have to kind of like abide by the rules and delete that character. If that happens, every time a new character is brought into the party, I always do a separate video called introducing and then the character's name. And at that point, I'll explain what happened to the previous character. Even if they died on camera, if they died off camera, whatever, I'll explain what happened. And then I'll talk about, what we lost and then what we got in the new character. So yeah, I think that is everything. The fights are always split into an intro. So I always tell you what's happening in the story, again, because we're not streaming the whole thing. That's kind of the way to bridge the gap narratively. So I'll explain what's going on in the story. I'll explain what I'm expecting in the upcoming fight and kind of the tactics that I'm going to use. Then there'll be the middle bit, which is the fight, and then there'll be the outro, which is kind of me talking about how I think the fight went. If we lost any characters, I'll mourn them, and then we'll always finish with an MVP. So I'll give an MVP to one character at the end of every fight, and then we'll, at the very end of our run, so at the end of Throne of Ball, we'll tot all of the MVPs up and see who got the most MVPs. In terms of difficulty, I'm playing on hardcore difficulty, which is the second highest difficulty in. I think it actually might be the third highest now that Beamdog's version is out. But the Beamdog's Legacy of Ball difficulty is stupid. The hardcore difficulty is essentially the second highest difficulty you can play on. And I've also installed a bunch of mods, ton of mods, most notably Sword Coast Stratagems, which is the mod that everybody talks about, which massively improves the AI of the enemies. It gives like little buffs to enemies and bosses that are kind of weak in the vanilla game. And you know, makes them a lot stronger in this one. So the battles are quite interesting. You know, mages are dispelling, mages are putting up buffs again, stuff that they don't really do in the vanilla game. So the battles are a bit more interesting. Yeah, I didn't want this to be too long, so that is basically what this video series is about. So yeah, peruse at your leisure. Hope you enjoy, and yeah, if you do, thanks for watching. Bye bye, folks.